I was born March 25th, 1920 in Wooster, Arkansas. During the Depression, of course, and as I said, money was very tight, so we ended up not being able to hire as many people as was needed again, so I did the hauling, did the truck driving, and my sister worked the compress, and my dad worked the gin stands. Well, at that time it was Monticello A&M, and I took 2 courses there. One was trigonometry, and I've forgotten what the other one was, and then I went home to be with my mother.
After your father passed.
And then the following fall I was started at Arkansas State Teachers College and commuted from Wooster to Conway. And one afternoon a couple of folks came by and asked me if I would like to fly an airplane in the Civil Pilot Training Program. I said yes. And I took the flying courses at Conway while I was attending Arkansas State Teachers College, and took 2 courses there and got 80 hours of flying time. And then joined the Air Force when I was sworn in at Camp Robinson in Little Rock, and was assigned to flying service in Fort Worth, Texas. Went to primary there. Graduated from San Angelo, Texas, from Selma, Alabama in September the 26th, 1941.
Okay.
My first assignment was to Mitchell Field on Long Island, New York. And I was fortunate enough to get quite a bit of flying time, went on maneuvers in North Carolina. They classified me as a key pilot, so I stayed in that area, flew, and joined a group to go to the Middle East on July. We left on July 1st, 1942. We took off from Mitchell Field at sunrise up and flew up Long Island Sound to Quonset Point, Rhode Island. Taxied down beside the aircraft carrier. They put a sling under the airplane and put it on the board. 72 of us, and we sailed from there at 1 o'clock that day. And we were escorted by 2 cruisers and 4 destroyers, and submarines were prevalent in the area. We took off about 100 miles off the coast of Africa, the Gold Coast of Africa, and went to Accra and Lagos in Nigeria, and we picked up an escort of twin-engine airplanes flown by South African pilots and British pilots, escorted us across Africa to the Middle East, and our part of the group was flown on Pan American over to receive us, and the rest of them went around the Cape through the Suez Canal to Palestine, and we got together in Palestine and formed there and got the group together. After we entered the combat, our mission was to support the British 8th Army. We flew under the operational control of the RAF, and we had 2 American groups there, the 57 Fighter Group, which I was in, and the 12th Bomber Group in B-25s. And we escorted light bombers, medium bombers, and ground strafed and dive bombed as the British 8th Army, which had consolidated around the just outside of Cairo. And later in the fall, the British 8th Army counterattacked. We flew out, I don't know how many times, fields. We moved a whole lot going across that desert, chasing the German Rommel's forces till we went into Tunis and into the invasion of Sicily. And then from Sicily, I rotated back to the United States. The first mission I flew with the South African Air Force in one of their airplanes, escorting the bombers as a sort of a demonstration or get acquainted with it. And it's supposed to be a milk run, but it wasn't. We were attacked by ME-109s, and I was flying at the speed of these slow bombers. And when I turned into the 109s, so I stalled out and spun out, and made one resolution that I'd never fly that slow anymore if I could. And one of our pilots, there's 6 Americans went out there to do that, and one of them was shot down and bailed out over the Mediterranean, but he was recovered okay. And then I flew 104 missions running across Africa there. And of course, my most memorable combat experience was over Marble Arch in Libya. We had been in a dogfight with the ME-109s, and I had shot one, and it was going down, and I was watching it to see if it crashed or if it landed. And all of a sudden, holes started appearing in the wing of my airplane, and I turned around into the German 109s and tried to fire back, and then my guns wouldn't work. So there's 4 of them making passes on me for about 20 minutes. On my way back to our home field, I got back and crash landed the airplane on my home field. And when that first burst of cannon fire hit me, I got a little sliver of metal in my left thigh. So my guardian angel took care of me then. They consolidated the 2 squadrons on the field there, and I was appointed director of operations and training. And over the training, we were training replacement pilots to go overseas and fighter aircraft. And we got married, as I say, but since I was responsible for flight training and all the flight operations, we had a hurricane come in. It was in September, and we were married in June. I took the aircraft out, evacuated them out to Langston, Alabama. We left Nita and her mother down there with her old 1940 Chevrolet, which the windshield wiper didn't work very good, and she had to drive in that hurricane with my boss up to Central Florida. She never would forgive me for that. So we were training pilots in P-40Ns and P-51s and P-47s in the 2 years I was there. And of course, after the war was over, they moved all the airplanes from Punta Gorda up to Venice, where I was. And then we had another hurricane come through, so I flew 131 of those P-51s out, and we evacuated them from Venice, Florida to Meridian, Mississippi, and back. And The commanding officer at Meridian gave me a letter of commendation for that mission.
That was a pretty big mission.
Lots of aircraft. I was real lucky. I got out and came home and enrolled at the University of Arkansas and on the GI Bill. Reapplied for regular service and was called up and met the board in Forrest City, Oklahoma, and was called back to active duty in the military. And from there I went to, after finishing at the university, getting my degree, I went to Craigfield, Selma, Alabama to academic assignment, instructor's course. And then attended the Air Command Staff Flying School in Maxwell Field. And then after that, I was assigned to Maxwell Field as the base housing officer and the custodian of non-appropriated funds. And I stayed there, and I had a friend from Florida that had a group, fighter group in near Fort Dix in New Jersey, McGuire Air Force Base. And I wanted to get back into flying. And I called him, and the base commander let me go, and I was transferred up there as commanding the 5th Fighter Squadron at McGuire. And from there I was transferred to supposedly Korea, but it was actually, it went to Okinawa, and was commanding the F-94 Squadron over Okinawa during the Korean War. From there I was assigned to the Pentagon as a staff officer.
You need a drink of water and
Director of
I
Operations.
just drink one. So I appreciate it.
And
you're working by yourself?
while there, the Air Force started a program of training people with industry. They had an Air Force Institute of Technology course where you go spend a year with an aircraft company or something company just to learn how they operated. So I thought I should branch off from flying and broaden my experience. And I went to Fort Worth at Carswell and spent a year down there observing where they were building the B-38.